I thought about, hold on, 3, 2, 1. Good morning, everybody. Welcome. Today is July 1st, Wednesday, July 1st, 2020. My name is Jeremy, and this is my first cup of coffee. I thought about doing the whole intro quiet, like silent, but then I remembered that we have an audio version that comes out later, and how annoying it would be to listen to 30 seconds of silence when you're expecting a podcast. So in deference to those folks whom I appreciate greatly, that's why I didn't do that. Well, yesterday sucked. There was some good stuff. There was some good work. So I've mentioned the tooth, the cavity thing. It's more than a cavity. It's an abscess, and I have an appointment. I'm on antibiotics. The first prescription I've been on since I was 8. And I have an appointment with a prostodontist. That's a fun word to spell. In a few weeks. And according to the dentist, there's a pretty good chance that the tooth has to get pulled. Always block. This comes back to a weird kick when I was 18 that has created a lot of problems in my life. Could be worse. Could have been a lot worse. It'll be okay. I'm just not something I want to have to deal with, And having a hard time wrapping my brain around it. And that's probably the last I'm going to say about it for now. What else happened yesterday? Oh, you know what I worked on? So, right after first cup, like maybe within 30 minutes of first cup, I lost power. So I'm sitting here going, okay, what can I do? And the chimney sweep showed up to do an inspection. And I said, hey, there's no power. And he said, hey, I'm going to have to come back. So I sat here with my laptop and I worked on the next steps for the fight conditioning program. And I think I've got it figured out. Had to think through some stuff. And I think it's ready for me to start laying out the workouts and the flow of those workouts. There's a lot that goes into that. There are a lot of people out there who produce programming. Frank's got a joke. I'm expecting it's a joke. Why did the two candles fall in love? I don't know. A lot of programs out there for anything are very haphazard. They don't have... They found the right match. It's a good one. We'll just say a lot of programs out there are crummy, and I refuse to release that. I refuse to do anything that isn't as good as I can do. There's a reason our slogans never settle. If I'm going to put out a program, it's going to be something I really believe in, something that I've worked really hard on. So, yeah. What else happened yesterday? Picked up the house a little bit. Tried to find table with a built-in umbrella for my new deck. Unfortunately, I waited a few days too late, too long. They're all sold out. Anything that's reasonable is anyway. There was one at a local Christmas tree shop for $200, and I said, oh, I'll come back tomorrow. And I didn't go back tomorrow, and I went back 3 days later, and they were sold out. Act when the time is right. Can you hear the birds? It's one of my favorite things about this place, just hearing the birds. What kind of friends does your mouth have? I don't know. So what's going on today? Getting together with a friend I haven't seen in years, literally years. Oh, taste buds. That's a good one. If you can't tell, Frank's always ready with a good joke and a topically appropriate joke to cheer people up. I appreciate that about him. I appreciate that about you, Frank. So breakfast with a friend I haven't seen in a while, and I don't know what else is going on from there. I may just knock through a couple quick things, call it a day, because this is weighing on me, and I need to make some time for myself so I can get through it. It's hard. There aren't a lot of times that I'm not even going to go down this road because I'm going to start crying. I don't want to do it. All right, let's see what you all wrote in. I'm just going to make a hard stop, quick left, and let's see what's here. What did you all write in for me to talk about and respond to? Today we got stuff from Frank and from Jen. Let's start with a couple of Franks and then we'll go to Jen. It's not just self-defense. It's about self-control, body discipline, and mind discipline, and breath techniques. It involves yoga. It involves meditation. It's an art, not a sport. Elvis Presley. Why do dentists like potatoes? If you are at all interested in kind of neat history, martial arts history, I would encourage you to look up Elvis's place in the martial arts. He had a lot of involvement that a lot of people don't realize. Why do dentists like potatoes? They're so filling. I'm growing potatoes. They're doing well. Potatoes are something that's really easy to grow in bags. You know, you get those big, they basically, they look like buckets made out of tarps. And they're fairly inexpensive. And you just throw some dirt in them. Potatoes will grow in just about any soil. And yeah, potatoes. And then you can cut off the vegetation and put them in a garage. As long as it doesn't freeze, you know. You got fresh potatoes all winter. Elvis's history intersects with Bill Wallace, with Ed Parker, with a number of people. Really fascinating stuff, and it's been done to death. So you know, I don't think we're ever going to do a book or anything like that on it. But it's neat. It's really neat stuff, and it's a side of Elvis that most people don't know about. People know about his flamboyancy and his music and his crazy life, but they don't know so much about the martial artist that Elvis was. I didn't go to normal children's school. I went to sports school when I was 8, so I studied martial arts. Jet Li. I've got a lot of respect for Jet Li. I like Jet Li as a martial artist, and I guess as a martial arts actor. I can't say I've ever trained with Jet Li or anything, so I don't know much about his martial arts outside of movies, but you can tell he's really skilled. From what I have read about him, I think I would like him. Ironically, Jackie Chan's probably the opposite. Love Jackie Chan as an actor, as a martial artist. Not sure that I would be friends with Jackie Chan. He is, well, he's pretty staunchly in the pocket of China. He's a good, citizen for China. I don't always agree with a lot of what China does. Like what they're doing in Hong Kong right now. It kind of sucks. One of my dreams, and I think I've shared this before, is that we develop a residential school. Maybe it's an academic school as well, for children. But what I'm imagining more so is take an old college. They're going out of business left and right. I have talked about this. Take a college, and people apply to come in. They can come in for, a weekend or a week or a month or, I don't know, longer. And to take the heart of training day that we do, which I have no idea if that's going to happen this year. We have to wait and see what's going to happen for school in the fall. But the core concept around training day is that the instructors take classes. So let's say you want to apply to teach a 1-week course on wrist locks, like really specifically on wrist locks. Your compensation will be lower than you might expect it to be because you'll get room and board and admission. And so I have this vision of hundreds, if not thousands, of martial artists constantly coming in and out, sharing their knowledge, and it being this center point for martial arts knowledge and sharing. I just think that would be the best. One of the things I love about training day is that people look at the schedule, which only has 2 tracks. We split a high school gym down the middle. And people look at it and they say, but I want to do both of these classes that are going at the same time. I love that. It means I'm picking the right people. Imagine if that's not 2, but 15, 20. There's so many classes going on at the same time that you get overwhelmed. And you go, I can't even imagine. That's what college should be. College should be that great. I had a few instances like that where there were classes that I wanted to take that were at the same time. I miss college. Good coffee. And let's bounce over to Jen. If you only had 1 week with a group of students that you would never see again, what martial arts skills or principles would you focus on teaching them? What knowledge would you want to leave them with, knowing it would likely be the only martial arts experience they would ever have? Okay. We're going to end on this one. I hadn't read these. I'm going to let that digest for a minute. We're going to bounce back to Frank's third quote, which is another Jet Li quote. I knew nothing about martial arts. The coach told me I was talented with learning martial arts and put me in a school. 3 years later, I got my first championship in China. Jet Li. Jet Li started out with Wushu? Pretty sure it was Wushu. Came to the US. There's video of him. I'm not mixing him up with someone else, am I? I don't believe I am. There's video of him competing in California when he was young. I think I've seen it. I don't remember. But let's take that school idea, and what if it's also a private school for kids? You know, one of the things that's tough about kids is that as adults we see a talent and we want to immerse them in it, and yet we know that burns them out, and we know that the best athletes, even pro athletes, were multi-sport athletes. The best basketball players, a lot of them played football, they played baseball. There's something to be said for learning movement and a diversity of movement. And I think that would be an important thing. We've got the academic side. You got to make sure that kids learn stuff, but let them choose things. Let them play football. Let them play soccer. Let them learn fencing and play badminton. Just options. Of course, there has to be a critical mass for that, but I think it works. It would be a school that would be built around movement rather than sitting in a classroom. And the common thread would be martial arts, not the entirety. Our episode last Thursday, about the coming opportunity for homeschooling, we've got a couple people who have stepped up and said, yes, I want to come on and talk about homeschooling and martial arts. And we're comparing schedules right now. That I might deal with that today. But we'll record that roundtable. We might even make that a live event. I don't know. We'll see. And I believe strongly that the best education comes when someone is self-directed. So let's say, what does a martial arts English class look like? Well, maybe you're instead of reading Shakespeare, you're reading Sun Tzu. Maybe instead of writing a paper on a current event, you're writing a paper on martial arts memory. I hope we get to implement that someday. I think it could do a lot for advancing martial arts and for giving people who are passionate about martial arts something to aspire to. I think that's important. So coming back to this. So Jen's question about what would you do in a week? It's the only martial arts you're going to have. There are a few things. I would teach core elements of self-defense, things that I have talked about many times on Martial Arts Radio: awareness, non-injurious movement, things like pulling up on the nose and pinching and stuff like that. I would teach them probably the next step beyond that, some very, very simple and mildly injurious stuff, pokes to the eye, scratching with nails, simple stuff. I would teach people how to make a fist and break a board. This is something that I've seen in Taekwondo classes, that very, very early on, people are taught how to break a board just with a simple punch. And the power that comes from that, the reaction is mind-blowing to me. I've seen my Taekwondo instructor do it sometimes first class with a kid. And they punch a board. No, I'm sorry. Kick. Side kick. Once they learn how to do a side kick. He doesn't have adults. He doesn't have kids punch until for a little while. So to kick a board and just watch their mind blow. you know, I think I would work that in there. And then I think everything else beyond that would be hidden within things that are fun. So if you know me, you know what I like to teach. I tend to go toward a lot of slow movements, a lot of game style drills. Adults love them just as much as kids. Well, Stacy wrote something, and I'll read that in a moment. When I get people together and teach them what I call, movie slow-mo fight scene, which can be done with two people or six. And they're all moving as slowly as they can. And it's safe because they're so slow. And now they're thinking about what they're doing, what the people around them are doing. And my hope would be twofold. One, that they would have fun and maybe they would give martial arts a try beyond that week. And two, it's going to teach them to move in different ways than they normally do. Most of what we do in life is what we call interior driven, right? What's in front of us. Sometimes we'll turn a little bit, but we don't usually think behind us and back to the side. And if you let people move really slowly, they start to become aware in those other directions, up and down. And no matter what you do in life, realizing that there are, an infinite number of, there are 360 degrees around you, but then you've got, all these different angles as we step into three dimensions. It's important to realize that. It creates awareness. That awareness is pretty powerful no matter what you're doing. So I think that's kind of where I would go. And of course, you'd have to teach them some basic movements to make that applicable. Couple blocks, couple kicks, couple punches, how to make a fist, that standard stuff. But if you've only got a week, you're not worried about them getting it right. You're worried about them trying it and coming away having fun. Real high energy. I'm guessing if it's a week, it's probably, an hour a day. 5 hours? You can do a lot in 5 hours. So Stacy wrote in, Laura, who is Stacy's compatriot on Whistlekick's team Smashy Smash, the breaking team that I am so blessed that they wear uniforms with our logo. Laura's working with the kiddo and his enthusiasm for the first strike to more than one board with success. For the first strike to more than one board with success was palpable, made me excited for him, and I don't even know him. There's really something powerful in breaking. And I think when we think about breaking as martial artists, we go to an extreme. We think about, Master Chip Townsend putting his shin through 5 bats, stuff like that, which is awesome. And I love watching it, and it's crazy, and it makes my shin hurt just thinking about it. Master Chip's a great guy. I like him. But I think the more powerful impact is that first time somebody puts their foot or hand or whatever through their first board. That, I think, is more meaningful. Because it seems, what does a piece of wood represent? It's solid, it's firm, it doesn't, you push on it, it doesn't break. We think wood comes from trees. Trees are unyielding. And then with a part of your body, you break it in half. That's a pretty powerful statement. And it's I think I'll kind of express it as the baby step version of black belt. You reach black belt, you realize how much there is that you don't know, and how powerful you are, how much more you can become, and that those limits don't exist. You break a board, you're doing something that made you nervous, you're afraid it's going to hurt. How can I possibly do this? But you trust the person coaching you through this, and you do it, and you realize, wow, I really can. It wasn't that hard. It didn't hurt. And then you wonder, what else can I do? Something to think about. Good stuff today. Thank you. Thank you both. Thank you, Frank. Thank you, Jen. Thank you, Stacy. All right, I'm going to go start my day. Thanks for coming by. Remember, we do this show every weekday, 6:30 a.m. Eastern, here on YouTube. Catch it later as an audio podcast. Please write stuff in. Drop it below. I'll answer it tomorrow. And if you want to support us, whistlekick.com or Patreon. Thanks, everybody. I'll see you tomorrow. Take care.